It's top tier Jasmine Allure, and if you want to have an alluring time, you better watch Countdown City WrestleCast.
What is up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host JC. Joining me is Big Mike.
What's up, guys? Yeah, it's only two of us at the moment.
Yeah, we're tag teaming here. This one, our stablemate Tommy, gonna miss tonight.
Seems to be a little bit under the weather, apparently.
So
may have caught something this weekend, or another thought is that Callie may have visited Kulandeta and put some sort of, hex on Tommy. Can't confirm. But
we're
that
not
is a
saying she
possibility.
did. Can either confirm or deny.
No, we have no proof per se.
Don't fact
But-
check us. Yeah.
Right.
So,
no,
yeah.
definitely. Like who? Come on. How
Come on.
dare you fact check? Why would you want fact check?
Yes. Yeah.
What's up, Jason, Sean? Thanks for being in, guys.
Appreciate it. Sorry for the late start, but kids take a while to get to bed. Today we are going nice, Sean. Today we're going to recap WWE Bad Blood, which I would argue is probably one of WWE's best pay-per-views of the year thus far. It's kind of cool to see that name back. We're also going to preview AEW's WrestleDream, and we may be joined by a couple special guests a little later on too. Yeah.
Right. So we did throw out on social media that David Kidd and Branden Weiss wanted to come on and kind of squash their beef that happened after Go RCW show. Go RCW Go at the last show. So,
Yeah.
But I know this is going to shock some of you, but they did need to finish some training up at Hybrid. So they hopefully will be jumping on within the next 30 minutes. They said probably sometime closer to 10. So like breaking news, we will break in when they jump right in. So yeah,
Hybrid
from now
School
then
of
we'll
Wrestling,
get going.
one of the hardest working wrestling schools in the city. So yeah, for sure, in the
Without
area.
a doubt, all
For
the
sure.
time.
So, yeah, so maybe a little bit after 10 o'clock Central, they'll jump in. We'll pretty much whenever they jump in, we'll stop whatever it is we're doing and kind of see what they got to say, see what happens.
I have an urgent news bulletin. No, sorry.
Yeah, right. Speaking of which, thank you everybody from last week's show. Not gonna lie, I went back and watched the first 40 minutes at least 3 or 4 times the next day because my God, you never know what's gonna happen on this show. We honestly, I'll just give you a little backstage. I have an agenda. I kind of said it. Here's what we're gonna kind of talk about. But whatever happens, happens. Don't know what exactly we're gonna say, and then just go with it. So that's kind of how it runs, basically.
Yeah, and obviously giving Don Juan a live mic was a horrible idea, or a great idea. I guess it depends on who you
That's
are.
what you ask. Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, no, last week was quite fun.
Full disclosure, just so you know, my son last week couldn't sleep, and he literally went to the bedroom with my wife, and they were watching it. So my son was watching it there. If you go back and listen, at one point you actually hear my son yell out, "Don Juan sucks," as he's walking by the door. So go back and listen. You'll catch that. Yeah, actually.
Also, another fun fact: your son is taller than Diego, so that's pretty cool too.
Very much.
So,
yeah. So I have a nice, Sean. I see what you're doing.
Whoa. You
Yeah.
know what, Sean? RCW has 2 GMs, and they've made some interesting decisions this past week, which we may get to a little bit in the news. Or
Yeah,
maybe when we
Go for it. I don't know what other kind of newsworthy thing there is going on right now.
So, first of all, even though after the controversy that we've talked about for several weeks of the RCW Women's Championship, and there technically being 2 champions, and anytime they social media post, they put a question mark. The women's GM Pink was clearly on Callie's side of things. Logan tended to be more on Alejandra's side of things. But then, surprisingly, out of nowhere, Logan threw out a poll this past week of whether or not Nastico should be banned. And apparently so. So apparently Nastico's banned from the show, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And then Pink, who seemed to be on the side of the Cholas in general, set up the women's title match with Callie's belt, against her fellow Chola, Ridley Thorne. So interesting moves by the GM this past week. In my mind, it kind of goes against what they've been saying, but maybe they're trying to spice things up a little bit. I don't know. The thing with Nastico being gone is the place is going to be 100 times cleaner and more sterile now that he's not there. So that's one good thing.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see how that portrays it into there. Yeah, aside from that, like, I mean, we know with La Leona, I think I've said, should we talk about what news that's come out? Like what announcements?
So I will just say what she's announced.
Okay.
Nothing's definite from what I know. For those of you that don't know, she had actually gone back to her home country of El Salvador, and that's why she had missed the previous show. And she was there for several weeks. She wrestled in her home country, also had some other matches around. I think she wrestled once in like southern Mexico and one other place, but she was wrestling over there for a while. She finally got back, and according to RCW, still technically a champion or one of the women's champion, but made the announcement on her Facebook that she's moving back to El Salvador, basically going home. Didn't really give a time frame per se. Her birthday was apparently last week. And she wrestled, I think it was October 4th, at a VIP show in Dallas, where, she lives in Dallas. And she did mention in the post that was going to be her last VIP last VIP match or show.
Yeah.
We kind of, just given that, we were kind of under the impression that it was going to be a quick turnaround and like maybe within the next week or two, she was going back home. But she is on the card at RCW in our house. She is defending her women's title against Shiva. So we don't know. That was the last thing she posted. She said she would go more in detail. She hasn't yet. So as of right now, just kind of see what happens.
Very high probability that this could potentially be the last time we see her in an RCW ring, and potentially within the San Antonio area. So
it is.
If you haven't gotten your tickets and you plan to attend the show, get them quick. And if not, get ready with Title Match Network. Get your subscription ready for it too, for sure. So.
Yeah, Sean brings up just some other quick interesting things with the RCW show. I know we'll talk more in depth next week. I think Lance Von Erich was...
I can't remember the names. I can't keep straight.
No. So one of them is okay to wrestle. One of them was not. So
yeah,
he was still going to defend the title, but they had to choose a partner for him. And they did put a poll on that some people could, decide who they wanted to be his partner. And there were some really horrible choices. And I definitely didn't want to, sandbag him with someone that was not going to help him out. Luckily, they decided on second-generation superstar Jesse Funaki, son of course, WWE wrestler Sho Funaki. So big spot for him, teaming up with one half of the Von Erichs to defend the titles against Fly Def, who made their debut, in fact, kind of connected to our show today. They made their debut at the last show against Branden Weiss and David Kidd, which kind of led to the thing that happened. And and now we're hopefully going to have them on soon. But yeah,
we'll see. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get more into depth about the pack show that RCW has, not this weekend, but obviously the next weekend, the 19th. And we may have another special guest next week with regards to that. We're working on that as well. So
for sure. So, all right, well, let's get into Bad Blood. This was, and I kind of said, I really did enjoy this show. Not going to lie, I missed the very, very opening of it because I didn't realize it started so early. And it threw me off. I was like, okay, maybe the pre-show's starting fairly soon. Let me get it ready. I'm barbecuing, whatever. And then Hell in a Cell was already underway. I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
So, and it threw me off, like, why is it so early? And then I remembered, oh, yeah. UFC has an event that night. They didn't want it to conflict because they're the same company now. So
That is true.
yeah, so that's basically the reason for that. But as far as how the match card laid out, we started with Hell in a Cell. We got Nia, Bailey, Priest, Balor, the Women's World Championship match, and then finally the tag team match featuring the Bloodline storyline to finish the show. So, Mike, what stood out to you from this event?
I mean, far and away the Hell in a Cell.
I mean,
I will say this too. I actually missed the first half of the show because I was watching the Vandy Alabama game, waiting for that other shoe to drop, and then Vandy just kept answering. So that was fun. I did have to go back and watch it, but we'll talk about it in a minute because my pick results were not great, and Tommy's kind of mentioned this. I've kind of been on the same page. Been a little like not all on CM Punk's side with stuff, and I'm just kind of like, not giving him many breaks. But they put on a hell of a match, put their bodies on the line. It's a kind of brutality that WWE hasn't done in a while. Too often, unfortunately, even under the new regime, they play it real safe with their hardcore matches, which usually wind up being a lot of kendo sticks and trash cans. And but no, they let them go in this one, and it was good. Like I think far and away that match outshone everything.
I put it in there as one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time. And a prime candidate for match of the year, to be honest with you. It really, you mentioned the hardcore stuff, like with the way the quote unquote PG era has been. It's very hard to storytell for this. Like, you're doing a Hell in a Cell, blood is going to happen. Like, it only makes sense. I'm not saying it's required, but on some level it makes sense for it to be there. And this was really kind of a throwback to arguably the very first Blood we had, first Hell in a Cell match, right? I mean, it was bloody. It was, and you find out later
correctly, Sean was pretty. Did have a crimson mask, if I remember that right.
I'm pretty sure.
Until Kane got down there, so
and obviously there's some precautions they took. Camera cut away so the ref could wipe the blood off the face. They didn't show that on TV, but they did make mention of it at the announce table. So you kind of had that. So, okay, fine. I can let that go. I understand. Modern time. We're going to make sure everyone's healthy. Cool. Got it. But it still told an amazing story. And that's really what you want from matches like this. And I've asked wrestlers this question, like, what is the biggest thing about hardcore matches that people kind of lose sight of? Because there are some promotions, independent or otherwise, that do this shock value hardcore. Like, we're going to have all these weapons, and I'm just going to hit you with light tubes and just, go for the effect. But to make it really good, you got to tell a story. Like, it has to make sense. And so for this one, it made sense, every bit of it, So,
and I do have to say, this definitely made up for the four corner. I mean, that was a decent match. But when you think about, the whole premise of just going around the ring, tagging the corner, to what this turned into, and again, also with the bracelet being such a huge, that kind of turned into the thing. A lot of people weren't big on that. To then pull the spot that usually, because obviously for a long time the thumbtacks was a big spot, and then people would start doing other things based off something from the feud or something from their personality. Like, we've seen Legos.
We've seen friendship bracelet things. Izzy did that, right?
Right. So she had, and then this was basically all the beads, of friendship bracelets. There was another one. AEW did one where it wasn't. What was it? I don't know. It'll come back to me. But they pull off, like you said, things that are not just the tax, and so that, and then to do the spot of putting them in the mouth and. Hitting the go to sleep,
the chain on the leg for the go to sleep. I mean, I think the part that was squeamish for me was Drew was going for like a back body splash, and then CM Punk moved out of the way.
Edge of the
stairs. Oh my god! I was like, oh god, that had to hurt.
And
I mean, the referee could ask him, "Are you okay?" I'm sure Drew's like, Yeah, I mean, God, that had to hurt. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, they always talk about. I'm sure adrenaline was coursing through, and I'm sure it hurt. But then he was like, "Nope, gonna keep going."
yeah.
But he did legitimately have to get like 16 stitches or staples. I forget exactly which one they said.
Oh man.
But he was busted wide open. I think they said it was from the toolbox or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was legitimate.
The wrenches or whatever,
right, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and this kind of puts. I think this pretty much puts a squash on that, right? I
and
mean,
it does because Punk came out on Monday, which maybe after Bad Blood we'll talk about a little bit of news from stuff because apparently for the first 2-hour Raw in years, some people were not happy because it went so quickly and there wasn't extra time on like wrestlers, not just fans, like some of the wrestlers apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, Punk came out and said he's going to be out for a while, like just taking some time off, which also coincidentally coincides with the upcoming Saudi show, and we know how he's always felt about that. So
yeah.
And I feel like we probably won't see Drew for a little bit just because of that. So
no, after a match like that, they both deserve time off, and I would argue this with all this feud, especially with the way it ended, they both came out looking great.
Yeah,
they really did. Fans are going to remember, most importantly, that match and how much they put their bodies on the line for this one and for entertainment. It was pretty amazing stuff.
Although I will say another thing, WWE has been really good because they kept Rhea involved when she was out injured, even though she wasn't there. They kept her feud alive. Right after Punk finished his little, because he kind of did his promo in the entryway. He didn't really go all the way to the ring. And as he turns around, Seth Rollins' music hits because Rollins is coming out to do that. And they kind of stare down. So they kind of remind you, hey, I know he's going to be gone for a while, but don't forget this feud that was always simmering there. And we're going to go back to that eventually. So I do have to say they're a little bit better about that in the Triple H era with kind of things like that. So, and then, this wasn't important to that, but Seth getting involved with the Bronson match on Raw.
Yeah.
So.
I want to talk a bit about Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Dom in the shark cage, and man, getting a human pinata for a bit. But obviously, the match technically ended with with Rhea Ripley winning because Raquel Gonzalez Rodriguez showed up. So it was a DQ finish. Although I've heard that finish was botched.
So apparently the ref wasn't supposed to be looking, or she was supposed to do it behind his back, and the ref was just there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that happened.
I don't know. But eventually, basically the match was supposed to end with Raquel beating down Rhea, the ref not seeing it. My thought is, in my head, I'm thinking maybe the ref was going to go down and stop Rhea from treating Dom like a pinata, trying to check on Dom, trying to get Dom loose from the cage.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Rhea gets back in the ring, and that's when Raquel
that would have made sense. So I don't know, where that.
And
also,
ends up her putting this arm over from Liv over Rhea. Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. There's a message. It looks like we may be getting joined in a minute or two. Just to let you know.
Okay, cool.
But first of all, shout out to Dom.
Yeah.
Because you're not that high, but you're still like falling up, upside down, hanging, and you could see the little thing that was like attached around his leg or whatever. But that's still not, can't.
That's still dangerous because that feels you're going headfirst into the ground.
Right.
Shout out to him. Yeah, I mean he's leaning all into this heel bit of his.
Yeah, he's done great with this character, honestly.
And the main event, of course, the highlight, Jimmy Uso makes his return. I was saying tonight watching it with Tina, I was like, they really, and I think I said on the show, I said Cody and Roman because they are going to use this to start setting up Bloodline War Games. We kind of see hints of it. We're seeing, obviously we know Solo Sikoa's Bloodline on one side. You got Roman. You now have Jimmy Uso. Maybe they get Jey Uso for it. Who knows? I don't know. Well, we're going to put a pause on that right now. We got somebody joining us here. So, you want to make the intro, Mike?
Well, let me double check. Hold on. Let me pull this.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, it looks like we are about to be joined by David Kidd. I don't know if he knows we're live, so please let him know he's live as soon as we come on. But, so from Hybrid Training, let's welcome on David Kidd. Can you hear us, David Kidd? Excellent.
All right.
So we are live right now, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
How was training?
Tiring.
Yeah, of course. All right, so we were in the middle of our bad blood discussion, but we're going to stop here.
Sorry about that.
No,
No, all
no
good,
problem
all
at
good.
all. We know y'all have training and y'all are there all the time. So what we understand is after last month's RCW Go RCW Go show, you and Branden had a tag team against the debuting Fly Def, and there was a little bit of miscommunication. Stuff didn't quite work out. From what we understand, though, you would like to kind of discuss that and perhaps apologize for some things. So the floor is yours. We're live. Go for it.
It's definitely not my proudest moment. Maybe I had a lapse in judgment and I wasn't thinking straight. I really shouldn't have left Branden high and dry out there. I mean, he had my back. I should have had his. I admit I made a mistake. You're not supposed to leave somebody behind in a high impact situation like that. I mean, he got beaten up pretty bad there at the end, and I will say I'm not proud of it.
Okay. I mean, we make mistakes. That's some good growth here. It looks like Branden is about to join us. So if you want to pull him in too, and y'all can kind of discuss this, or we can see what's going on. So let's see, Branden and JC. Let's move him back.
Yeah, I got the camera there, so
Okay.
I'll put you guys up top here. Go for it.
Branden, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent.
David.
All right. So for what it's worth, Branden, David just came on a few minutes before you, and he did just say that he was not proud of what happened, that he left you high and dry, and he should not have done that. Anything else y'all want to say to each other? Discuss about what happened?
Shouldn't have done that. He left me high and dry. What type of person does that?
I know. I know we haven't talked since before the match at RCW, and I haven't been able to formally apologize to you, and I want to do that now. I am sorry. Like I said before, it was not my proudest moment. I shouldn't have made that decision. I apologize.
Why is it taking you so long? You had all this time. You even stood there and you watched them give me that move. No sorry after the match. No sorry for the next week.
I know. I was frustrated, confused. I want to, if you're willing, I want to put it behind us.
Like, why should I believe what you're saying, though? I mean, that's the thing. I put full trust in you that you're going to have my back. I went for that tag, and where were you? You threw a tantrum and you walked off.
I know, and a lot of, trust me, I'm hearing it from you now, and I've heard it from some of the guys in the back. They weren't proud of me either, and I blew them off too, and I am ashamed of myself.
Look, I've known you for a long time, and I've never seen this. I don't know where this is coming from, why it's happening, but I mean, this isn't the David I know.
I know. And if there's any way you can find it in yourself to maybe just a second chance or realize that this was a mistake and it wasn't something that it wasn't intentional. It was just, I got overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do.
It's really hard to say yes. I mean, because I put my full trust in you in the match. I mean, you were my tag partner. We're supposed to be right there for each other. Yeah, we're not a formal tag team, but even then, there's trust that goes along with that.
Yeah. And I know I've completely broken that trust, and I've had to have a conversation with myself, and I'm willing to take the steps necessary to rebuild that trust.
Words are easy to say. I'm a man of actions. Like, what are you going to do to show that you're actually different and remorseful? I mean, you could say you're sorry all day until you're blue in the face, but I mean, words are just words.
Well, I mean, we have United show coming up on the 18th, RCW on the 20th. We even have the next hybrid experience on the 26th. Give me those opportunities to show you that who I was that night, who left you high and dry, is not the person I am on the inside.
I mean, with our history, I want to say yes, but like, I have that regret right now. That how do I know you're not going to do it again? I mean, I know you're saying you're changed, but it's always going to be right there in the back of my mind. Is David really changed? Is he really sorry, or am I going to get screwed over again? Or even if we're not tagging, like, how do I know that you're not going to do it to someone else?
I know. And I can understand that telling you isn't going to work, but showing you can. I'm just asking for the time, for the opportunities to show that I can not make that same mistake again.
I've read and I believe in the people that you surround yourself with show your true character. Now, I know the people that you surround yourself with, and I'm hoping that this is just a lapse, that it was just something wrong. There's a lot of good people that we train with, that we hang out with, that we tag with. I mean, I'm hoping that is the routes, the people that you follow, that you be with, is going to be how you are.
You're definitely right. I'm not arguing with you. You're totally right. I have a great support system at Hybrid. The people that are surrounding myself, they also had a talk with me about what happened that night, and they gave me a lot of good advice, and they kind of pushed me to this point where I felt I needed to apologize. I'm just asking for time and opportunity. That's it.
If I say yes, and that's if. How is this going to go about?
We can talk at United. I can have your back with whatever match you have. RCW, I can have your back. Hybrid, I can have your back. Just if you need help, give me the sign, and I can provide the assistance you need in that time.
All right. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to go with my gut here. And I'm going to say that you are saying what you're saying is true, and it's not just smoke.
Just give me the opportunity.
Don't get defensive or mad if I have my walls raised a bit. I mean, it's understandable after what happened.
Yes, I know. And I got to rebuild the trust. I got to show you who I am on the inside and show that there's trust to be rebuilt, and I'm willing to do that.
I mean, it's not just with me. I mean, think of everyone that you had, all those people that are cheering for you. You had all of them, and then, like, they just looked at you like you're a monster. I mean, you can't just be sorry to me.
That's another thing, and if I can take the time now to not only apologize to you, Branden, but the loyal RCW fan base, RCW management, Brandon Oliver, and the people who put their trust in me to go out there and be who David Kidd is. And I didn't think I showed that night, and I just want to apologize to everyone in attendance, and I hope this doesn't change the viewpoint that the audience has on me.
You guys are a witness. You heard everything. I mean,
we did. Yeah.
And I will say this, David. Yeah, these next 3 shows are going to be critical, not just for Branden, but for the fans that trust you as well. You know, San Antonio fans, we don't forget. We don't forget. So, but I mean, you mentioned it. You guys trained together at Hybrid. How has the mood been between y'all? Like, have y'all talked at all? Or I mean, there's 5 rings now. Have y'all even been in the same ring at all? Like, what's going on? So
no, where's David been? I haven't seen him at all.
Definitely
Yeah.
separate rings. Definitely separate rings.
Yeah.
And if you're
Go
if
ahead.
you're willing, maybe tomorrow, or if you need some more time next week, I'd love to have a training session. Join you in your ring.
All
What do
right,
you say,
we'll
Branden?
start slow. We'll start with the training session.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, David, I said, as someone that was there at the show, it was a little strange to see. You know, we've seen you for a long time, but you know, at the same time, all of us have our moments. You know, sometimes we fall short. And you know, like we said, Branden, I hope that he can show you over the next few shows that it was just that, it was a one-time thing, and that you know, he can be the David Kidd that we've all known and seen for several years here around San Antonio. You know, so we hope it works out for both of you. We are big fans of both you guys. Y'all have done amazing things around here in San Antonio, Hybrid, RCW. We'd love to see y'all on the same page.
I'm willing to meet you halfway
Yes.
if you're willing to take that walk.
That is the only thing I'm asking for.
All right, well, we'll see how tomorrow goes, Ben.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be there.
All right,
I'll be
guys. Well, there you go. As you said, looks like they're gonna try a training session tomorrow. Also, guys, next week, like he said, there is a United 210 show Friday, October 18th. And then there's RCW on that Sunday, the in our house show. And then the following weekend, there is the hybrid, the Halloween show. So several opportunities for David to show that he's back on the right side and that you guys are on the same page. So if you're watching, try to make it out to all those shows and show David Kidd the support that, you know, he is who he says he is. And, you know, hopefully Branden will see that and y'all can be back on the same page.
I hope so, because we have a lot of history, a lot of road trips, a lot of matches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for this time. Thank you
You're
very
welcome,
much.
of course.
I appreciate
David,
it.
glad to have you, Branden. Anytime you want to come back on, you know, we'd love to have y'all, but we're glad we could be the kind of place where y'all could meet and at least start the beginning of hashing this out. So
Thank you, guys.
you're welcome.
All right.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you,
Branden.
too.
Branden, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. All right. So there you go, guys.
Tense
yeah.
moment there. You know,
We've never been in the ring, you know, so we don't know what that's like, you know, to put your trust in a partner, whether, you know, it wasn't him and Casey, it wasn't the Flock and Brawlers, right? They were doing other things, but, you know, I could obviously understand Branden's frustration and his hesitance to trust. You put your faith in a partner and they kind of leave you high and dry, but at the same time, and I know Tommy's not here and he can talk more to this as much as any of us, but you know, that's not the David Kidd we've come to know over the last few years. But you know, like we said, everyone has that moment. Everyone fails and comes up short at sometimes. I think,
and maybe it's a youthful thing too. I mean, he's still young in this business, and maybe there's some frustration on where, but it's one of those things where you can't want so much so soon. But in that frustration, you gotta keep a level head. So, I'm hopeful for sanity's sake that this works out between them. I hope they have a you know, good energy moving forward. Like everything goes well tomorrow, their training session, and then by next weekend they're good to go. So,
Jason, what do you mean here is a small part of this that, if you'd like to elaborate on exactly what you mean, I don't feel like Casey's trying to instigate anything. You know, Casey's on his kind of had some singles time now, has several titles under his belt. But also I think JC is, I think you've watched this show, reminds me of the Ted Lasso quote. I hope that either all of us or none of us are judged by the actions of our weakest moments, but rather by the strength we show in and if we're ever given a second chance.
Yeah.
So sounds like Branden's willing to give David that second chance, and hopefully, you know, he won't regret it, and he'll be able to to show him he really is. So,
Yeah.
like we said, guys, and next week we will be previewing all those. Well, two of those shows: the United 210 show on the Friday, and then the Sunday RCW show, and then we'll preview the hybrid show the following week. So we'll kind of keep you in tune with what's going on. If we hear anything, we do have some contacts at hybrid and other places. We'll update you on the situation, or if they need to come back on barbecue sauce.
Yes,
exactly, Ted. Exactly. So there you go, guys. Hopefully, at the moment, David Kidd and Branden Weiss are on the way to patching things up. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, that training session tomorrow goes well.
Yeah, for sure. So,
All right.
well, back to Bad Blood.
Yeah.
This we knew this was going to be the start. Back to the main event, Bloodline versus Bloodline, War Games, right?
Yeah.
This is where it was going to lead to, and they kind of got the issues of it. But obviously, The Rock making an appearance at the end has had mixed reaction within our own. We don't know what his involvement is going to be. Seeing The Rock in War Games would be not on my bingo card for the year. I didn't think someone of him would want to be involved with War Games, but
He's still coming out with his People's Champ belt. It's not a legitimate title. The F2W title is a more legitimate. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling The Rock. I haven't been feeling it since he came back. And
the final boss thing, at least he's keeping that going.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There were some parts of the lead up to WrestleMania after things got back on track that it was pretty cool what he was doing. But overall, I get a bad vibe from him, and I'm already hearing that Rock versus Rhodes is on the table for next year WrestleMania, and I don't know.
Well,
what's up, us in?
All the backstage stuff we've seen since then about The Rock understanding this was the fan reaction. We got to pivot, and he kind of came up with the final boss thing on the fly, right? So
supposedly, according to him,
he's working with this, but whose side is he really on with this? It's
that's I think what's going to be interesting to the story.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Good, Jason. Going back to the David and Branden stuff, he did lose to Casey in that. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what happens, and well, Jason, you'll probably be at some of those shows next weekend too.
Yeah.
So
what we know for War Games at this point, we know I'll just call it Team Solo, right? The current his iteration of the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu.
Sean, we'll get there. Hold on, we're not through the whole show yet.
Hold on. On the Roman side, you got Roman, you got Jimmy Uso, Cody Rhodes with the question mark, Jey Uso with the question mark, The Rock with the question mark. God knows how many other cousins or brothers or something that they have a line.
Not to mention. Wait, did you? I don't know if you just said it because you said several names. Sami Zayn just had a hell of a match with Gunther, but you kind of assume he's done going after the title for the moment. So does he slide back into this at some points?
Yeah.
And yeah, we are going to do a WrestleDream preview.
Yeah, we're wrapping up Bad Blood, and then we'll talk about WrestleDream there. Yeah. So.
No, it's definitely setting that up, I think, and you're right. There are a lot of question marks. Also, I think you said, the potential of any other Bloodline members, because there's still several out there in the Indies or in other places. I don't know if this one will wind up being it, but I heard Hikuleo is now officially NXT bound, if I remember the report correctly. So, and Zilla Fatu's out there on the indie scene. So,
shout out, by the way, to them for keeping the Jimmy Uso return quiet. Because I mean, there apparently there was a family event that they had gone to. Jimmy was kind of keeping it quiet that he was coming back, not even telling his closest family members.
Nice.
And then him showing up. So,
it was really cool the way they did that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever someone, I don't know, but maybe it was a fan, had the opposite angle where you're ringside and you actually see him come out between the Gorillas of Destiny, basically
slid out from under the ring. He was hiding there. They snuck him in basically before the match, hung out, and then the reveal was pretty awesome. And happy to see it.
And Sean, that is another good point if that's what you're talking about. Paul Heyman probably coming back on Roman's side, I would think.
Yeah,
he'd be interesting. I mean, obviously not in the match, but in the storyline of being on their side. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one though. I mean, obviously with everything Jey Uso has done since he left the Bloodline, and if this obviously Team Roman is starting to become more of the face side of things with Jimmy, do you think they asked for Jay's help one more time?
I mean, I know he's gotten super popular. He just won the IC title.
Made an appearance on NXT, by the way.
Right, but
yeah.
I feel like there's no way he's not involved somehow. I know, like I heard some people kind of talking, and this was like a month ago, that maybe he wouldn't be involved because he's kind of doing his own thing now. But it's such an integral part of the whole story. You almost feel like he can't help but suck him back, and maybe that's part of the story is that he doesn't want to get involved at first, especially because him and Roman had the falling out. In a sense, almost similar reasons that KO was mad at Rhodes and Orton wasn't mad, but he was like unsure at first. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
So Strata and Solo. Well, I know they've signed a lot of people to Legends contracts. I don't know if I guess he was with Umaga. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned KO and the Cody thing, and let's just talk about it. A new way that WWE is getting, post stuff. Apparent backstage altercation.
Out by his bus, yeah.
Yeah, by his bus out there between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. It looked like it was just a discussion. It started to get heated, some pushing and shoving, and then KO started beating down Cody in front of the fans, which this is great. This is something you never saw under Vince. Using the internet to your advantage, using social media is freaking genius. It really is. So, and even to the point where Triple H has tweeted that we are aware of this. We're investigating it. I think somebody tried to talk about it on TV, and then they just kind of okay, let's just move away from that, right? Like we're not going to talk about it. Almost making it seem like it was something that was legitimate backstage, which is pretty cool. But I'm curious where this goes from here. Obviously, with the announcement of what Crown Jewel is going to be, that's not on the target for Crown Jewel. For those who don't know, they did make the announcement that the top champions on the men's titles and the women's titles will face each other at Crown Jewel. In essence, you want to know what it is? It's a King of Pro Wrestling Championship. That's basically what it is. It's their version of what New Japan does. The only difference is at this point of the year, you're going to go for the Crown Jewel belt and you hold it as you're the Crown Jewel of 2024 or something like that.
And it seems after this past week, or at least after Monday, that it's almost like they're not going to have any other title matches because they've already had graphics for Cody versus Gunther and Nia versus Liv.
But so I assume,
right? I don't know. That's what I mean. Are they going to have actual title matches between now and Crown Jewel or whatever, so that it's official? Or
that's a big question because Goldberg got involved with this.
Oh God.
Yeah. And maybe it was just because it was Atlanta. He's such a legend there.
I'm sure that's why it was.
Falcons, but
they've gotten huge on bringing in old wrestlers and stuff in for shows.
I mean, maybe it's a request at Crown Jewel. I don't know. I don't know what the involvement is of this. Who knows? I don't know if Gunther's going to defend it between now and Crown Jewel. When exactly is Crown Jewel? I can't even remember.
November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So,
also, real quick, because I see more people jumping in case you're wondering, Tommy is not here because he's under the weather. He was feeling sick. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, but I've seen some more people jump in, and it's usually people that know Tommy because everyone knows Tommy. But just so you know, it's going to... Sean, I would not doubt it. I believe you, honestly.
If that's the case, I'm watching College Game Day. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go watch what Pat McAfee.
Honestly, 3 of those hours are probably just going to be commercials for Saudi-based things, to make you feel good about them.
Replay the same feed over and over for about 3 hours. Yeah, so no, I'll watch College Game Day that morning. So
that's hilarious. But yeah, so I don't know if they're going to have any title matches or they're kind of locked in and they're not going to have any more defenses until this. So we'll kind of see what happens as the next couple of weeks go by.
Yep.
He should get a better mask. Which one?
Yeah. Well, as far as how we did on Bad Blood, Mike went 1-4, a little rough.
Tommy, I know. Jesus, I just got that joke. Okay.
Oh, right. I see what you did there. Tommy and I each went 3-2 on this event. So
Yeah, I could have been 2 and 3, but they had to botch the women's title or the
it
live
gave
match.
all of it. It changed all of our things,
Right.
right? Yeah.
I mean,
So
y'all probably would have been 4 and 1, but I mean,
yeah. Let me see how. Well, let's see who.
who'd you pick on that one?
I actually picked Liv. You picked Liv. Tommy picked Rhea, so he got a win because of the technicality. So it
So
benefited
he would have been
Tommy.
2 and 3. You would have been.
I would have been
4 and 1, and I would have been 2 and 3. Still sucked, but okay.
Yeah. So funny how that all works out, right?
And yes, it was intentional that I have not even talked about the Bailey match because I
don't want to talk about it much either, honestly.
Tired of Bailey putting people over, even though she's great and that's what she does, and she's like literally the coach of the women's division, and everyone says like she's the greatest person and the nicest one. But anyways, and also Nia's she has done a lot better in this time around. Way better than from her initial run when she was, more in sloppy, I guess. And so I will give her that. But
is it horrible for me to say I worry about whoever she's wrestling against, just knowing what has happened previously?
Well, that's what I mean, though. This time she has been much less in that mode. She has been a lot better overall wrestling. I will say, I still think in a bigger picture that Matt Cardona's Chelsea would have been better with the briefcase, only because this kind of weird story with Tiffany and Nia. Again, I felt like they were pushing Tiffany to be a legit, like, top contender, and now she's kind of filling out a more comedic role at times because of the setup, which, again, I think Chelsea would have been perfect for. This is not a slight on Tiffany. It's the booking of her. I think the way she was brought in and the way she was coming out of NXT, it would have made more sense to just make her a legitimate title contender on her talent, not based off the briefcase potential. But, that's me. And she got caught by Nia, at the end there. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes.
Obviously, we know what's happening in a few weeks with Crown Jewel. Nia is slated to take on Liv Morgan right now.
Yeah.
Raquel is back in the fold, so I might throw it out there. We might see a cash in at Crown Jewel. There's something that hasn't happened in Saudi Arabia yet, and it's a prime spot, especially if Raquel gets involved and it neutralizes Nia.
You know what? I sent some stuff in the chat about the creation of this champion versus champion because it's Saudi Arabia, whatever. Yeah. But, and I guess you're saying this, it just made me thought, the potential of a Money in the Bank carrier going to this match where they cash it in on the champion that's not their brand champion. Down the line, if they keep this going, there is actually some potential for some interesting twists.
Have they said they're allowed to do that? Because as my understanding was, whoever wins the briefcase, they're cashing in only on what brand they're on, or have they not made that clear? I can't recall if they.
I don't remember, but if you're in a champion versus that's a good point. But if it's champion versus champion,
it's not title for title, it's just champion versus champion. So I don't know.
Well, right, but that that would be interesting.
So I mean.
No, she can't cash in on Cody versus Gunther. That'd be crazy, Sean.
If she does, right?
That'd be funny.
All right, on to our WrestleCast ratings for Bad Blood. Is 0 to 5 being WrestleMania 17, 0 being December to Dismember. Mike, we're going to start with you. What is your rating for Bad Blood?
I think I'm going to give it a 4.75, mainly on the Hell in a Cell match. The rest of the matches weren't bad. I don't think they were anything insane. Again, the thing that's crazy with the Cody and the Bloodline type matches, the matches themselves are usually okay. The big stuff comes out of all the involvement and the extra stuff that goes on. Right? Like, if you look back and you actually remember a lot of great spots from the match itself, I mean, it was a pretty good tag team match. It was decent. Jacob Fatu is insane still. Roman was cool because that they said that was literally his first match back since WrestleMania. But the match itself was all right. Nothing crazy to write home about. But the huge stuff all comes from Jimmy coming back, from that stuff going on. The Rock showing up at the end. And so, and then the other matches are good, but that Hell in a Cell just maybe just overshadowed everything because it kicked it off, and it was just like, how do you go from here to do anything beyond that? So,
Yeah.
But 4.75, I think I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. 4.75. Like I said, this pay-per-view was one of the best events that WWE's had. The Bad Blood pay-per-view base, it's kind of great to see it back. I hope it continues. The new logo is pretty awesome, if you ask me. And I like the fact that we don't have a pay-per-view named Hell in a Cell.
Yes,
It
that
doesn't have to
was
be.
dumb.
And I feel because of that, that match meant so much more. The fact that it opened the show was awesome. And I would throw it out there. It's one of my nominees for match of the year overall. It really is.
Yeah.
And arguably one of the best Hell in a Cell matches ever of all time. So,
Yeah.
so overall rating, easy math for us, 4.75 for Bad Blood.
Yeah, just to let y'all know, Tommy did chime in that he didn't get to see everything, so he didn't want to give it a grade.
Yeah.
Based on
So, but I feel he might agree with that for the most part. So,
and actually, JC, before we jump to WrestleDream, I do want to jump to some wrestling news that we kind of skipped over at the beginning of the show. Okay, so first of all, in more local news, Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart, Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, is in town. He's over at Rolling Oaks at Raul's sporting goods store. And in fact, apparently Branden and the store put out a post that he actually came in like yesterday, came in several days early. So he was there today, I think. I think he's going to be there tomorrow. And then the original setup was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think Friday was VIP. There was like $100 special VIP package. There weren't many left from what I heard, as Sean was telling me some of the stuff. But he's going to be there. I think the regular autograph and meet and greet is $40 otherwise. So, obviously a wrestling legend, been around for a long time with some great stables and stuff. So if you got a chance, head over to Rolling Oaks. He'll be there. That's going on. Then some other things before we get to WrestleDreams. And I guess one of the last things will kind of lead into the WrestleDream discussion. But in NXT, as you know, Stephanie Vaquer showed up this past weekend. So Roxanne and what's the other one who just came back that helped her beat Julia?
Oh, God. Cora
Jade, yes.
Cora Jade,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously they used to be rivals. They're kind of on the same page now, mainly because Cora likes that Roxanne has finally gone evil and heel. But Julia showed up, and then her partner, she had a friend, and it was Stephanie Vaquer. So, two big names coming in NXT. There's one more supposedly just around the bend behind them, known as Delta. Thank you. Yeah, I know, Jason. It took me a while.
Yeah.
Selling $20 megaphones for Mouth. That's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. Nice.
But yeah, so that's going on. But the news that I wanted to mention, Stephanie Vaquer is apparently having her first match next week on NXT, and it's against Ren Sinclair. So tell me you're putting your big new star in a match with someone you trust. That's got to be a huge sign for Ren. We've
not
talked
just Ren, but for the Hybrid School of Wrestling. I mean,
well, yeah, of course,
with that for sure. Obviously, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, shout out Marvel and Don Juan and Funaki and all of them. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, Jason. And again, that's huge. Like we've said, in fact, Jason has said this. She is kind of carrying the no catch or no quarter catch crew, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
yeah. With her character, because they're letting her do a little bit more. It's obviously still not, I don't know if she'll ever fully be main character Maddie, because obviously they're going to have her, be someone. But what she's been with Ren has been amazing. And yeah, so a huge match for her. Unfortunately, don't like her chances against the debuting superstar Stephanie Vaquer, but you never know. Shock the world.
Could be a big surprise. Yeah,
but that's good for her.
Yeah.
What were some other things I wanted to mention from general wrestling news? Okay, so if something comes up, but this will kind of lead up into our WrestleDream discussion, I guess, because on last night's Dynamite show, Daniel Bryan and Wheeler Yuta versus Pac and Claudio. They let Brian Danielson, I keep doing it, come out to Final Countdown on Dynamite in Washington.
What does it mean?
I'm just saying they're setting up a lot of things to make you feel like this may be Brian Danielson's last match, besides just what they're doing. So if you want to go ahead and start the WrestleDream discussion now, I think we're fine. If there's something else, I'll pop back in my head. But
yeah, it's a good way. But briefly, I want to mention this. I know obviously we've had the question. So what happens with NXT episodes? What if I miss it? When can I watch it? So obviously it's eventually becomes available on Peacock, their WWE Network side, but it has to take 30 days. But because it is now on CW, you can actually go to the CW app and watch any episodes you might have missed literally the day after they air. But
only for the ones that start showing on CW, right?
Right, only for the ones that are showing on CW. So if you miss NXT, you want to go back and watch it, or maybe you hear something happen, you want to go see it, download the CW app either on your phone, your Roku device, any other streaming service you have, and you can go back and watch it. It's completely free. You don't have to sign up. It is a terrestrial on-the-air, non-cable channel. So download the CW app, load it. You can pop up NXT right there, sitting right there alongside Superman and Lois, which, by the way, the first 2 episodes are fucking fantastic of the final season. I'm really sad to see this series go because of what it started off with. I'm already emotional what they did. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm a huge Superman fan, and it literally started with the battle of Superman versus Doomsday.
Yeah.
And it went about as much as you expected. So brought back a lot of memories of reading that comic. So, but
wait, real quick though, talking about the CW. So, okay, when the WWE Network debuted, cool thing. We're like, it's all in one place, all this stuff now. Then it got moved to Peacock. We're not as big on that, but we're still getting the pay-per-views. They had all the catalog, although it was really crappily.
Yeah. So.
But now it's getting spread out. Raw's on Netflix. CW app has this. Do you think that idea of the network that's on Peacock now, like I don't remember how long that deal is.
It was 5 years when they first signed it, so I think there's only a couple years left, but I have a pretty good feeling.
Like it feels like things are starting to go back out, like be spread around again and not going to be in one central place like it kind of already is. But
well, I'm pretty sure because internationally it's all on Netflix. And after they signed the deal with Peacock, there was like if you went overseas, WWE Network still had its own standalone.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And there's actually some parts of the world where it actually has its own cable channel. Just throwing that out there. Nice. But those now a lot of those markets, it's on Netflix internationally. So the network is exclusively to Netflix. I have a pretty good feeling once this contract expires with Peacock, everything is moving to Netflix. You're going to have Raw there, obviously. We're going to have our pay-per-views on there, or PLEs, as they call them now. SmackDown, they're going to keep on cable. CW, they're keeping on network television. And that seems to be smart. You want to have that presence because if you move everything exclusively to Netflix, you're going to lose a lot of fan base. There's people that literally cannot afford to stream to Netflix to watch their wrestling. They might, SmackDown's the only chance I get to see it, or NXT's the only chance I get to see it. So it's a bit of a gamble, right? I mean, but I think eventually everything is going to be on Netflix anyway. Peacock, unless NBC Universal makes a really aggressive stance to try and keep the WWE Network, I'm pretty sure it's going to be moving to Netflix in a couple of years. So
I was kind of wondering about that when all this kind of started happening because, the network was a cool idea. I hate to say it, but if it can all get back to kind of one central place, and I mean like everything, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views, old shows, it'd be kind of nice.
Yeah. The only other option I could potentially see is ESPN Plus. Because UFC has their exclusive pay-per-views on there. Now, the only difference is you sign up for ESPN Plus, but if you want to buy the pay-per-view, well, you still got to dish out the $50. So it is your subscription. You still got to do that. I hope they don't start charging for pay-per-views through the ESPN Plus model. I hope it's just available. I subscribe to ESPN Plus. I get to watch it. I'm hopeful, because if they start doing that, it's going to suck. So,
AEW, they had made the announcement last week, is going to be on Max starting in 2025. It seems like that's going to be their pay-per-view thing. Like they'll be available on Max, but for a little extra, not free as the Peacock is right now with it. So,
which is fine. And I mean, and TNA Plus does a similar sort of thing. Like you have two different tiers. The only difference with TNA Plus is if you want the pay-per-view, you still got to pay full price for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You're paying the $7.99, but you still got to pay for the pay-per-view. So I don't know. We'll see where it works out, what happens, but just keep an eye on a couple years. Ted, have we talked McMahon Doc yet? I mentioned it. I'm still stuck on the 4 episodes. Tina's catching up with me on it, and then we're going to kind of finish it together. But if you haven't seen the Mr. McMahon docuseries on Netflix, I can tell you 4 episodes in, it's pretty. There's a couple things that are a little cringy for me personally. For me, the biggest thing that stands out is his thoughts on continuing the show after Owen Hart passed away. But it's still, as a wrestling enthusiast and as a history guy, I think it's worth the watch, at least so far. So yeah.
Actually, one other thing related to that whole mess. Apparently, Janelle Grant's side in the case have asked WWE to basically like not honor the NDAs and let any other people that had signed them come out and shared, and basically kind of, hey, if you say you want to get away from this and all these negative things, let them come out and share their story. So it's kind of, I don't know. I saw that post. I thought it was kind of interesting. I know there's always back and forth.
They basically filed a motion court asking the judge to throw out the NDAs, for not just hers but everybody's. I believe she referenced the Weinstein case, where he had a lot of NDAs. The judge eventually threw those out, and then everybody came forward. Yeah. So I think she's doing that to allow these people, these ladies that have apparently signed NDAs with McMahon, with WWE, wanting to neutralize that so they can all come forward. And we'll see. I mean, it's obviously WWE's going to fight it. Obviously McMahon's going to fight it, but we'll see what happens from there.
Not to get too much into it, but it's interesting for what WWE's going to do, because obviously they let Mr. McMahon leave. They told him to go. They're trying to obviously get themselves, separated from him now. But, they're still also one of the defendants in the case, in a sense, even though McMahon and Laurinaitis are gone, they're still part of it. So it's interesting to see how they deal with all that.
But to be fair, it's it's the parent company's job now, right? This is,
it should be.
That's the only thing. Yeah. So yeah. All right. On to WrestleDream. 11 total matches on the card, one of which is a pre-show match. So there's a lot to discuss.
There is.
Taking place in Tacoma, Washington. If you haven't seen the poster yet, Bryan Danielson is front and center. This is his home state. This is everything. So yeah.
Okay, so I do want to say something because Tommy's not here to defend it. We know he would. So the pre-show match is for the ROH TV Championship, apparently.
Yes, it is.
I had no clue that guy was the TV champ. I looked on here and I go, was he really? And then I was trying to think of who it was before. Could not remember.
Let me pull it up, actually. Let's see.
ROH. I'm not saying Tony Khan doesn't care about it. I feel like they could be doing more with it.
He beat Kyle Fletcher on June 28th in Mexico City. It was part of a CMLL event. He beat him at a CMLL event. That's why.
Right. All right. So go ahead and introduce it. I didn't know this guy was the champion.
Yeah. Atlantis Jr., CMLL talent, won. Yeah. He won the championship over Kyle Fletcher at CMLL. So that's
now there you go.
Changed hands. Yeah. So
it's him versus Brian Cage on this one in the pre-show.
Yeah. Tommy, by the way, has given his picks. He's going with Brian Cage.
Okay, you have him up. I had him up too.
I wrote him down on my thing already.
Okay, cool. Good job.
He's going with Brian Cage. I'm going with Brian Cage because I mean, although
because it's someone we know.
Not just that. I mean, I've seen this picture of Atlantis Jr. I mean, he's a bigger luchador. He's not like your usual thin whatever. He's got some muscle on him. But this is freaking Brian Cage, man. I'm sorry. This is a guy that I don't know, man. I don't think this guy can hang, to be honest with you. So I'm going with Brian Cage on this one. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, no, I think I am too. I'm going to go with Brian Cage. It's talk about someone who's feels like should have been pushed so many times, so often. It just never quite clicks, or it does for like short periods of time, and then never quite stays. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But Brian Cage with gold doesn't sound like a bad thing. So
No, it worked out for a good while in TNA.
yeah,
And I mean, you kind of reintroduce. I think ROH is a good spot. So, um, Darby Allin versus Brody King, and they have done a good job marketing this one a lot to the fact that Darby was like on stage at a concert, just kind of rocking out, and Brody literally grabbed him, picked him up, and threw him into the crowd. Kind of continue that feud.
wait, was that recently?
Apparently, very recently, yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. I thought that
yeah,
had been a while ago because
no,
I know in real life they're friends, so a lot of times they're at the same stuff. But
yeah. So it's
yeah,
kind of cool of them to be doing this, but Tommy's going with Darby Allin. You already know I'm going with Darby Allin. Any and everything. Dude's badass. I love him. He's one of my favorite current talents out there.
yeah.
Mike, what about you?
No, same.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's almost like he had to sacrifice his title shot for the Danielson Moxley story.
Yeah.
So I see no reason to send him on a downward spiral. I honestly feel like when all the dust settles from the BCC stuff, whatever happens over the next few months, I do feel like Darby is going to be in position to then go back after the title. So yeah, I see him winning this, and it's Brody King's going to toss him around and probably do that choke where he holds him over the rope and kind of holds him there. But I think it's one of those things where Darby takes a crap load of punishment and then finds a way to pull it out. So
Yeah. 2 out of 3 falls. Hologram versus the Beast Mordos. 2 luchadors going at it on this one as well. So Tommy's going with Hologram. Mike, where are you going with this one?
So first of all, let me just say, when I first heard about Hologram and what they were trying to do, I had horrible flashbacks of Glacier in WCW. But no, this dude is legit. And I know he was a luchador in Mexico for a while. I forget what he wrestled over there as. But no, he's legit.
Aramis.
There you go.
Yeah.
But also the Beast Mortos is pretty legit himself. Like he for a luchador that size, moves pretty well. I'm gonna go with Hologram. Not completely confident, but I do feel like they're trying to give him the push. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm going with Beast Mortals on this one. He was formerly Black Taurus, if you remember that name.
Yeah.
He was, yeah. So, but I'm going to go with him to win this matchup. So,
All right.
now here's one that's very interesting: Adam Hangman Page versus Jay White. And this has been kind of building. Page is going here. Tommy's going with Jay White. I'm still stuck in the middle of this one. Mike, do you know who you're picking on this?
I think I'm going to go with Jay White on this one too. I do feel like he needs to get back, kind of get back a little bit for the attacks were done on him. And Hangman's in such an interesting place right now that I feel he could take the loss. He can take the loss, look like he's going a little more unhinged, and everyone would be fine with it because unhinged Hangman is a really awesome character, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah.
After all the Swerve stuff, he was pissed because Swerve broke into his house and people loved him for it. And he's kind of been on such a great character run since then of like, I don't know any other words, but unhinged. When he had that match with Jeff Jarrett, the Lumberjack match that led to the story with the Gun Club and with Jay White returning to kind of help him out. So I would hate to see Jay White return after that and then go straight into a loss.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be some shenanigans of things involved, but I am going to go with Jay White too, just like Tommy.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with Jay White. I think he talked me into it. So, yeah. Sure. MM Collection versus the Acclaimed. Tommy's going with the Acclaimed, and the way I see that, if this match is not taking place in Saudi Arabia and Mansoor's involved, sorry, Mansoor, you lose. We've talked about this before. The only time Mansoor wins is when he's in Saudi Arabia. So I'm going with the Acclaimed on this. Yeah, that's my logic.
That's hilarious.
Mike?
This has potential to be a hilarious match.
Yeah.
If what's his name on the Acclaimed?
Caster or Bowen?
Caster doesn't say anything too over the top and offensive because sometimes he gets a little weird with things. But otherwise, like Eminem, like Mansoor and Mace. I'm gonna call him Mace.
Mason Madden.
Yeah. They're hilarious with their characters. Like it just works. And the Acclaimed are always, when they're on, they're great in the ring and funny in character. So I'm gonna go with the Acclaimed as the more seasoned team, and I think they get more out of this. But I think that can be fun if Caster doesn't mess it up.
And by the way, if you haven't, as we're making these picks, you're watching this live, let us know what your picks are as well. Especially now as we get into the championship matches.
Ooh.
TNT championship match, Jack Perry versus Shibata. Katsuyori Shibata. Tommy is going with Jack Perry. I'm going with Jack Perry also. I think they're really going to kind of really push this heel Perry. He's going to hold this title for a while. I'm gonna say that for sure. So
I'm not going to lie. I would love to see Shibata win this.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Jack Perry is kind of in that place where he's the heel that you want to see get his ass kicked, and he's going to pull out wins, whether it's cheating or sometimes he pulls it out like I'm actually a good wrestler. So I do think it's going to be Jack Perry too, but I would love to see Shibata beat him.
Okay. The International Championship is going to be defended in a 3-way match. Ospreay defending against Ricochet and Takeshita. Tommy is going with Ospreay. Mike, which way are you going?
If I'm going to lose my Tez here, this may be it, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Takeshita. I feel like he's just waiting for that one moment, that one thing to push him to that next level. His talent is ridiculous. He's amazing in the ring. He's got the size. He's got a look. But Ospreay may be the most popular face in AEW at the moment, and I'm saying that with Bryan Danielson on this potential retirement tour. Everyone loves Ospreay, but I think there's a potential here to make another star, basically, that could then be in, as Danielson leaves, as some of these other guys, kind of maybe wrestle a little bit less, to build the next legitimate star in AEW that could be in title pictures and stuff. So I'm going to go out on a limb on this one and go to Takeshita.
Okay. I'm going to make it fun and say Ricochet just so we have one. No, but honestly, I think, Ricochet has been such a high-profile name, even in his WWE days. Never really got a title to hold other than, the Speed Championship.
Wasn't he U.S. champ for 2 weeks or something?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't even remember, yeah.
I feel like AEW is looking at him to be a star. And obviously, the Ospreay, we know Bryan Danielson's on potentially his retirement tour. This could be his last match, right? Yeah. But with that being said, why not get the championship off of Ospreay and start thrusting him into the main event picture, regardless of who wins the championship match?
That's a good point, too.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Ricochet just so we all have a one way or another. One of us is taking.
So one of us is getting,
Yeah. So, tag team championship, Young Bucks versus Private Party. Haven't heard that Private Party name in a while. It's been a while. So,
seems like they're trying to get him on another little push here.
Yeah. Tommy's going with Private Party, I know, because he's sick of the Young Bucks. I'm at a point right now where I'm not taking anybody but the Young Bucks right now until they lose at this. So, I'm going with the Young Bucks.
No, I'm going to go with my heart a little more than my head because I'm with Tommy here.
Okay.
I want to see the Bucks lose. Again, I know it's probably they're so good at being heels, but it's getting tiring. And also, Private Party, in the first year of AEW, upset the Bucks in the tag team title tournament, and then
that's right.
They keep coming back to the story a lot of times with Private Party of what have you done since then? What have you done since then? And in fact, before this, it was Moxley and Claudio that were basically telling them that they got beat up a couple weeks ago. It's almost like give them one more chance, give them that push, and if nothing comes of it, then maybe they aren't meant to be. So I'm gonna go with Private Party.
All right. Speaking of heels that just annoy people, Ring of Honor Championship, Mark Briscoe defending against Chris Jericho.
Can Jericho be on the same match stipulation is Danielson. If he loses, he retires, and then we make sure we do a Montreal screw job in favor of Mark Briscoe. That's what I want to see.
I think it's safe to say we're all going with Mark Briscoe on this one.
Yes.
Yeah. So man, if you give the ROH title to Jericho, my God, they hate that would be out there. It's
That's why there's a small part of me that thinks this might happen. But.
Yeah. All right, AEW Women's Championship. Mariah May defending against Willow Nightingale. Tommy is going with Mariah May, still fairly young in her title reign. And as much as I would like to see Willow win it, I got to stick with Mariah May. I think it's too soon to take it off of her. Mike, what about you?
No, I'm with you. The same thing. I want Willow to win it so bad, but she actually came out on the losing end of her program with Statlander.
Yeah.
And then another weird story. After Statlander goes heel and finally beats her in that last match, apparently they broke up her and Stokely, and Stat may be face going after Mercedes and Camille. I don't know. It's kind of a weird turn out of nowhere. We'll see what happens with that. But no, I agree. I think you need to give Willow's one of their most popular faces right now, but I'd prefer to see her get a little momentum going towards that title, not kind of pop in and then out of nowhere. At times, the women's title has changed and it's in the past over the 5 years. Some of the title changes have been like, oh, okay. I think it'd be better to keep it on Mariah for a while and really build up the person that beats her. So.
Okay. And finally, the AEW Championship, potentially one of the most difficult ones for us to pick because it's Bryan Danielson defending against Jon Moxley. This is taking place in Bryan Danielson's home state of Washington, Tacoma, just right outside Seattle. Tommy's going Bryan Danielson. Mike, you mentioned promo earlier. Yeah.
Give me a minute to go through some things that I want to talk about from this last episode and stuff. Like I said, tag team match on Dynamite. They have Danielson come out to Final Countdown, right? That makes you go, is that because it is? Then they were they were not joking, but playing up. Oh, this is going to be the last Dynamite that he ever wrestles on because his career is going to end next weekend. Some other things that were very interesting. Yuta was on his side. Pac went and grabbed a hammer when the ref was distracted because Moxley and Marina Shafir came out to ringside, and he was about to use the hammer. Wheeler Yuta grabbed it from him from behind, which allowed Danielson to hit the label lock, and he got the pin. After that, Danielson went after Moxley outside, and they brawled to the back. Pac and Claudio turned on Wheeler and started beating him up with the hammer. So Danielson brings Moxley back out to ringside, tosses him in the ring. Claudio and Pac get him out of there. And so, the new Blackpool Combat Club kind of, go back up the ramp. This is a weird thing, and I don't know if it's actually something or it was just Danielson was kind of caught up in the moment and wasn't really paying attention. But Wheeler Yuta got beat up, and he's kind of in the fetal position in the corner. And Danielson starts celebrating the crowd, and you see Yuta reaching out his hand, and Danielson celebrates for a good minute before he actually turns around to help Yuta. And so the visual in the camera is Yuta reaching out for help and Danielson ignoring him to take in the adulation of the crowd. I don't know if it was just a slight mistime of things or if it's something. Or if it's going to be you, because my whole thought is you could use this to have Yuta kind of get a big face push being on Danielson's side. But could it also be a turn? I don't know. I don't want this to be his last match. Obviously, I don't want him to ever stop wrestling, but they are laying some things to really make me question whether it is or not.
That being said, what is your pick?
I got to pick Bryan Danielson. I can't have him go out now.
Okay.
I mean, if he's going to go out to someone, Moxley in this situation isn't bad, but I can't. I don't want to see him go.
I don't either, but like you said, if he's going to go out to be Moxley, and I always thought the match would be Moxley or Ospreay that he drops the title to. So that's what makes this difficult for me because it is his home. And I don't. Where is AEW even going from here? Full Gear is where? Jersey. Um, World's End is in Orlando. Wrestle. Then you got New Japan. Oh boy, this is tough. Have we seen Danielson and Osprey yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was earlier this year because Osprey hit the Tiger Driver 91
Mm-hmm.
on him, and he was I think Danielson was out for like a week or two. They really played up that he like almost could have permanently injured him, and that kind of led to the story before the Wembley match between Osprey and MJF about Osprey said he was never going to use the Tiger Driver 91 again because he didn't want to hurt people. Don Callis was like, use it. In fact, I think Callis told him to use it in the match is what led to that. So we have seen it before. And I think Osprey actually beat him at the time. But that was also still kind of Blackpool Combat Club, kind of sometimes face, sometimes heel Danielson. It wasn't this Danielson who's kind of gone on this super face run since he won the title. So it's definitely a match I wouldn't mind seeing again.
For sure, but with what they're building with Moxley right now, it would be such a heel thing for him to win the championship, build something up so that when it's Ospreay's time to run with it, it's going to be that much bigger.
Could be.
I don't want to see his career. What? So go ahead.
I was going to say, just also don't forget Christian has a cash-in.
Christian does have a cash-in. That's very true. I'm going to say Mox. If they kind of came in together, it would be with what they're building with Mox. It's like you kind of have to put this on him in a way because this is really going to build that faction he's building up. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be. If they said if he loses, he's done. If they've kind of fought,
that's what I mean. From what I understand, when he loses the title, then he's retired. Now, some people have said there's like semantics of he's retiring from full-time wrestling, but they've kind of just played it to he'll be retired. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll be 100% retired. I hope he gets a retirement match down the road because I want to see him wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom just one time before he does call it a career. Yeah. So I kind of want him there on the January 4th show, maybe with no title on the line, just to be a part of the show. And I mean, the adoration he would get would be pretty amazing. So
yeah, no, you're not
wrong. But I'm going with Mox. Something tells me this is the time, you know. So
just a quick throw on the roof at Tropicana has been ripped off from the storm, from the hurricane.
Oh no, they're using that as a shelter.
Ooh, well, that's not good.
Yeah, I do want to shout out. I do have some friends there. More specifically, a friend of mine in the family, they are in Riverview, which is just east of Tampa. They've hunkered down. He's stationed there in the armed forces. They actually live like 3 houses down from us. They moved out there 2 summers ago. So not this past July, but the previous one. We actually just saw them when we made our Disney World trip this past summer. So shout out to them. Praying for everybody that's dealing with that. They said this one's going to be pretty intense. And you know it is if Disney's having to shut down completely. So, but Tropicana Field, the roof came off.
That's what, in fact, Brandon Oliver posted a thing from there.
Wow. That's dangerous because they were using that as a shelter for the hurricane.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, just thoughts, prayers, positive, everything to people in Florida right now, everyone dealing with that. And,
yeah,
you know, and again, as a wrestling show, we know there's a lot of wrestlers that live in the Orlando, Tampa Bay area.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully they're all safe and either hunkered down or they evacuated earlier. So,
we'll see what happens too. Beyond that, interestingly enough, we talked about this on Sports Writers podcast. There's no NFL games impacted by this. Tampa's on the road, Miami's on a bye week, and Jacksonville's in London for the next 2 weeks. So it just happened to work out for that. Obviously, this does affect a little bit of NHL. Their season kicks off this week. Stanley Cup champions Florida
and
Panthers
I guess could potentially affect NXT depending on what happens. So,
well, NXT's traveling now, right? So, I mean, obviously,
are they not back in? I thought they're okay. Maybe
I thought it was a permanent travel thing. Are they back?
I thought what I had heard is they were in Chicago. Maybe there's another show or two, but I heard that they were basically redoing the area they use at the PC for shows to kind of have a new look. But
I see.
I'm not 100% sure.
I guess we'll
So-
see where what happens if they have to do some repairs. If we have if they're gonna if this affects NXT next Tuesday,
Yeah.
right? So, we'll see. All right. As far as WrestleDream goes, it is taking place this Saturday, October 12th, 7 p.m. Central Time, pre-show at 6 at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington. And it's on Triller TV, formerly known as Fight TV. There is no more Bleacher Report. So they gave you, I'm sure if you were bought pay-per-views on Bleacher Report, they sent you an email to link it with your Fight TV. So all the pay-per-views that you previously purchased on Bleacher Report for AEW will transfer over under the Triller TV umbrella. So yes, even if you were to type in Fight TV on your web browser, it will take you straight to Triller TV. That is the new name where the AEW pay-per-views are housed. But it's also going to be on payperview.com. I believe Dave and Buster's will also be doing their blast zones as well. So check that out. Pay-per-view cost is $50 for this one. So, all right. And with that, we'll move into our 1 minute warning segment here. Mike, do you have something this week?
No, I don't think I do at the moment.
Okay.
So we'll kind of just keep going.
I don't either, actually. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot going on. I will say real quickly, there's a chance I may be catching a little bit of wrestling in Laredo this weekend. Just want to let you know. I know Denise Day is wrestling down there. I think some hybrid folks may be there as well. So,
if I remember correctly, Denise has a title match.
yes.
And then Ray, speaking of the hybrid people, is in a triple threat, I believe, with Devin Carter and Stud Stash for Ray's internet championship, if I'm not mistaken. So
Nice.
and I think there's a couple other hybrid people down there on the show. So
I can't remember the name of the promotion.
Isn't it just 5-Star Wrestling?
5-Star Wrestling. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
That's the school I know that they're a part of. Here, I can find it. Hold on. Because Denise posted it just earlier. But yeah, so it is APW, Amazing Pro Wrestling, which is actually Denise Day is still the champion, I believe. Yeah. And when we saw her at the wrestling store show a couple weeks ago, that was the belt she was defending. Do you need the details for that, or?
Yeah, I think Sam pulled it up, but yeah, if you have the details, or
It's it's October 12th. It's at Hal's Restaurant and Bar in Laredo.
Oh, Hal's.
Doors open.
That's gonna be a party.
Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7. Also, Rob Love is on the show. He has a 5-star championship match against Adams. Like I said, Ray Perez he's the internet title champion over there. His triple threat, with Devin Carter and Stud Stash. Denise Day defending against Danielle. Arsenal's also down there. He's got a match with Chaos Kid. End of the World Party. Too bad Tommy's not here. Against Dad Rock. And Ramirez versus Nebula in a teacher versus student match. So looks like they got about 6 matches on the card. It's the Showdown 3 for Amazing. Well, I think the Amazing Pro Wrestling is the title Denise is defending. I think it is just the 5-star school, much like a hybrid experience show for them.
Well, it's a hybrid experience show, but if for those that don't know what a house is, think David Buster's, but a little bit smaller. That's basically what it is. It's a,
Nice.
It's a big sports bar with video games right next to the movie theater and the I think it's the Sames Auto Arena. I think is what it's called now in Laredo. So yeah.
And if y'all do make it, make sure that Denise saves a few trading cards for us.
Okay.
Because she just recently got her Indie card.
Yeah.
From Raw Deal Indie card. So yeah.
Yep. Awesome. So. All right. Once again, WrestleDream is Saturday, October 12th, 7 p.m. Central Time, taking place in Tacoma, Washington. Again, it's $50 on Triller TV or payperview.com, or again, head up at Dave & Buster's to watch it on one of the blast zones. And, next week, what's up? Go ahead.
I was going to say also thanks again to David Kidd and Branden Weiss for coming in, and hopefully we help kind of start the communication back, and like we said, we'll keep you informed if we hear anything else, and hopefully they have a good training session tomorrow. So.
Also, last week I mentioned a book that is per pre-order on Amazon. The author has sent me an email to contact me, so I'm going to be working with him. I know you sent me the email. I haven't replied yet, Ray. I apologize. I'm going to get that reply sent out to you, and we're kind of coordinate when we can get you on to talk about your book as well. So,
Nice.
yeah, hopefully we'll be able to work that out. Next week, though, we'll recap WrestleDream. We'll preview United 210 and RCW in our house 2, and talk a little bit also about RCW honors.
That's right. Our
Possibly
very own
have a
Tommy.
and
Tommy,
possibly
you
have a-
better get that voice back and be ready to go by the 19th,
Oh,
buddy.
I'm sure. I'm sure I'll be ready to go. Also, I'm very sure, it's a good possibility we might have somebody appearing on the show. It's becoming a thing. It's kind of nice. So,
Yeah, so we'll
stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
We'll
stay
let you know.
stay tuned to our social media accounts. Once everything's official, we'll let you know. So there you go.
Yep. All right. Over here, we got Big Mike.
We get to each other.
And I'm JC. As always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real.
People
Are fake. We'll see you next week.
Why isn't Tommy helping me with this?